Very good morning. Climate change is here, it is terrifying, and it is just the beginning. The era of global warming has ended, the era of global boiling has arrived. The air is unbreathable, the heat is unbearable, and the level of fossil fuel profits and climate inaction is unacceptable. Leaders must lead. No more hesitancy, no more excuses, no more waiting for the others to move first. There is simply no more time for that. It is still possible to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius and avoid the very worst of climate change, but only with dramatic, immediate climate action. We need ambitious new national emissions reduction targets from G20 members. And we need all countries to take action in line with my Climate Solidarity Pact and Acceleration Agenda. Hitting fast forward so that developed countries commit to reach net zero emissions as close as possible to 2040 and the emerging economies as close as possible to 2050, with support from developed countries to do so. And all actors must come together to accelerate a just and equitable transition from fossil fuels to renewables as we stop oil and gas expansion and funding and licensing for new coal, oil and gas. Financial institutions must end their fossil fuel lending, underwriting and investments and shift to renewables instead. And fossil fuel companies must chart their move towards clean energy with detailed transition plans across the entire value chain. No more greenwashing, no more deception, and no more abusive distortion of antitrust laws to sabotage net zero alliances. It's time for a global surge in adaptation investment to save millions of lives from climate change. And that requires unprecedented coordination around the priorities and plans of vulnerable developing countries. Developed countries must present a clear and credible roadmap to double adaptation finance by 2025 as a first step towards devoting at least half of all climate finance to adaptation. Every person on Earth must be covered by an early warning system by 2027 by implementing the action plan we launched last year. And countries should consider a set of global goals to mobilize international action and support on adaptation. We need a course correction in the global financial system so that it supports accelerated climate action. That includes putting a price on carbon and pushing the multilateral development banks to overhaul their business models and approaches to risk. We need the multilateral development banks leveraging their funds to mobilize much more private finance at reasonable costs to developing countries and scaling up their funding to renewables, adaptation, and loss and damage.